Hi, Keisha here of New World Tarot, and thank you for joining me today for another vlog. So this is my first week back from attending the Masters of the Tarot workshop in Rhinebeck, New York. And it was such an amazing time. Just spent surrounded by nature. I saw so many animals. I kind of lost count. I saw a coyote, I saw baby deer. It was really very cool to be away in that. And I also just had a wonderful time with other tarot enthusiasts, other professionals, other hobbyists, and we just learned so much from the deep and very amazing wisdom of the instructors, combined decades and decades between them. We were taught by Mary Kay Greer and Rachel Pollock, who are running the workshop, as well as Joanna Powell-Colbert, Terry Ayacuso, and Ben Wen. So it was just an amazing panel of knowledge that I really enjoyed. And it was just such a wonderful time, an unforgettable time. And I'm so happy to have gone through it and made such amazing new friends. So I just want to bring that up because if you are a student of tarot, I personally highly, highly recommend the Masters of the Tarot event at the Omega Institute. Okay, so definitely check that out for future summers. Okay, so here we are once again with another new moon, and this time the new moon is in the sign of Leo. Now, the new moon is, of course, that part of the moon cycle. It's the beginning of the moon cycle, and this marks the beginning of a new energy cycle. And this is the time when we can really rededicate ourselves to our goals, to our dreams and our desires, and we can really energetically grow our goals and desires as the moon grows. So in other words, we can really use the gentle but transformative power of lunar growth to really help us grow on the inside. And growing on the inside is really where change must begin to effectively change our outside, okay? As within, so without, okay? And to me, that is why moon cycle manifestation is so rich and so good. So this month, our new moon arrives in the sign of Leo. And what can we say about Leo? You so often know exactly when a Leo is in the room because they bring such fiery, big, vital energy to a situation, all right? They are often in motion, often doing things, making things, and changing things, okay? And Leo, symbolized by the lion, is all about courage, confidence, strength, creativity, and it's about embracing life with fullness and vitality. And Leo is all about just letting your spirit live big, okay? And this new moon in Leo, I ask you, are you creating your best life? What creative projects or creative expressions are you hiding or ignoring? Are you perhaps afraid to show that personal, creative, expressive part of your life to others and to the world? Now, we as humans are natural creators. And in our most mundane creative powers, of course, we create other people. And, through the miraculous and very passionate, fiery power of reproduction, we create children and we create other humans. But unlike other animals, we don't stop there. And, unlike other creatures, we create for the hell of it. And there are aspects of life that really move our spirit in such deep, profound, and joyful ways that we need to express them, even if no one else sees them. And a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that they are not naturally creative. Like you, for example, may think that you're not creative. And I believe that a lot of people believe this lie, and it is a lie. I believe a lot of people believe this lie because they have been told this by others, by society, by friends, by family, by work. And there's so often that time in our lives that we're told it's time to put away the creativity, it's time to put away the imagination, it's time to get serious, it's time to get practical, it's time to get real and grown up. And many of us are told that our, childish tools of like paintbrushes and books and pens and notebooks and clay and acting performances and dance performances, etc. We're told that all of these are to be put away and exchanged for more adult things, mainly the very serious business of work and making money, right? So this is, to me, is a commonly held and widely supported viewpoint of society, that there is no value, that there is no point or purpose in creating. However, your creative power, your imagination, and your birthing of things from your mind to the real world, all right, what I mean by creative power, your creative power is something so strong and deemed so naturally important that it is one of the few things you were armed with early on as a young child. Other creatures, right out the gate, pretty much, if not from birth, then not long after that, they get the ability to run, to fly, and just to be very self-sufficient. You, however, got the ability to imagine and create. That was one of the first things you were able to do. And when you were a child, you really had an untethered, unbounded imagination. And the world was such a wondrous and magical place. And your imagination was endlessly busy, just designing songs, making up people, creatures, dances, events, and whole worlds. And you invented things and created scenes as easily as you now type or write a sentence. However, over time, as you got older, adults discourage this wild creative power. They tend to shame you heavily, or discourage you gently, depending on the adult's viewpoint in your life. They tend to either shame or discourage you away from being so creative. And to them, past a certain age, it's always time to get serious. And now, unless you had a very, very harsh upbringing, which is possible, but you likely still managed to survive into adulthood with a passion, even if it's secret, to create something. And this could be a love of writing, of painting, of sculpting, of scrapbooking, of fixing things, or just to name a few. This also often manifests as adults in a desire to create your own business. Okay, the entrepreneurial spirit is also a form of creativity that lies within you, that is constantly knocking and scratching to be released. And these creative powers and passions, they shouldn't be ignored. And if you believe that you are indeed spirit in a human body, you must ask yourself, why am I driven constantly to create and express things? Why does immersion into a very practical and very grounded existence still bring up this desire to create? Why does the desire for creation still exist in me? And why does it tickle the back of my mind when I try to really lock it away? Now, your creative expression, just like the sun itself, which is the ruling planet of Leo, by the way, your creative expression, just like the sun, cannot remain blocked, and it cannot remain locked away. It is a very fiery and expansive force, and you need to really give it rein to be balanced, to have peace of mind, and to be self-fulfilled. You have creative desires for a reason, and I believe that you are here on this earth to be a creator. You're here to create beauty, to create goodness, to create change, and to create vitality for the world. And the key to how you do that is what? The key in doing that is found in your creative drive, in your own creative drive. So this new moon in Leo, I ask you to recommit to creating. What do you like to create? What do you want to create? Are there creative projects that you've locked away in order to be more practical? Have you traded your creative powers of expansion for social acceptance? And if so, ask yourself why that is. So for just a brief moment, I'd like to talk about a tarot card, okay, which is the sun. And I'm going to actually put up a few examples of this wonderful card for you to see in a moment. All right, and as we mentioned a bit ago, astrologically, the sun is the ruling celestial body of Leo. And in the most popular style of tarot deck, which is the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot, and by the way, the top left-hand card is the original Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot Sun card. And in this card, The sun really depicts this big, glorious sun. And beneath it, we have a nude male child riding on horseback with a big red banner, just symbolizing passion. You see just so much gold, glory, confidence, courage, passion. And a lot of decks, though they have their own depiction of the energies here, will still often depict a child on the card. And you can actually see that in my Everyday Tarot card, which is the purple, white, and gold one. And by the way, this is like my daily go-to deck right now. I absolutely love it. But anyway, in the Everyday Tarot version of the sun, which is the purple, white, and gold one that you see here, this also depicts a child. Now, when I see the child in the sun card, I think about the wildly powerful, naked, non-self-conscious creative power of our imagination. And I think of the imagination and the effortless, easy, powerful, impossible to bottle up creativity of our childhood. You know, inventions and songs and poems and stories and games, all of these came to us so easily and constantly as children. And there really was no such thing when you were a child as a creative block. Okay, you had a constant and never-ending connection to your imagination. It was just as powerful as the sun. Just like you always had access to the sun, you always had access to your creative power. And just like the sun creates effortlessly and powerfully, so did your imagination. And so it does today. It is just that you may have lost the ability to believe that you can access it due to the influence of society over time. Now, the sun card to me is also all about bright illumination, and it's all about letting things out of the shadows and really exposing them to the full light of day. So this new moon in Leo, this also includes your creative power. It's about bringing out your creative power from the shadows and casting it into the full light of the sun. So I want you to grab a journal right now and really ask yourself, are there creative projects that I need to recommit myself to and really expose to the light of the sun? Like, for example, is there a novel that you've abandoned or a song that you've stopped midway through? You know, and also ask yourself, how does it make me feel to have locked away that part of myself and have locked it away and ignored it and just let it sit in the darkness? Ask yourself, at the end of my life, will I have regretted not creating more, not expressing more, and letting these things rot away and not have been birthed out into the world? Okay. Thirdly, I want you to ask yourself, what is keeping me from creating? And one strong reason you may be hesitant to start creating again is fear. Social ridicule is a huge reason for us not embracing our creative urges more often. Our society has made it really desirable and socially accepted to be boring and to be dull and to be practical and to fit in with everyone else. So spending your time, for example, watching Netflix, is a more socially acceptable use of your free time than creating anything and putting, your time and work into birthing something amazing. That is usually something that is people kind of look at you like, oh, wow, who do you think you are? You're not sitting here watching Stranger Things for hours and hours like the rest of us, or Game of Thrones, over and over. So it can actually make you feel very, very, critiqued, criticized, and judged. But that's not what we're here. We're not here to fit in. We're here to create change. We're here to, as Katy Perry says, be a firework. We're here to shake things up, and we're here to leave the world differently for the better than it was before we came along. And there's just a creative aspect to ourselves that needs to be released. Damming it off usually causes, over a long time, a feeling of regret, of constriction, and of just having a secret locked away. So it's actually, even if no one sees it, even if you're not ready to show it to the world, it's very important to release that creative urge. It just is therapeutic, and it's something that so many of us just will benefit from emotionally and spiritually. Okay? Just remember that Leo is all about being extraordinary. Leo is about being bold, and it's about really encapsulating the energetic element of fire. So this new moon in Leo, really just embrace this dynamic creative energy and just live boldly, live fiercely, and live creatively. Okay? So really quick, I want to do a short bridge draw. So we had spoken a little bit about the Sun card in the tarot. And I'm going to actually, of course, show all of these to you in a short period of time. But, okay, the Sun card, and I once again have my deck here, the Venetian Tarot by Eugene Vinitsky, which is a beautiful deck. I just can't get enough of it, really. It's just really gorgeous. But we have an interesting Sun card here, which shows our little ruler, king, emperor guy, and I'm going to show you all of these cards very soon in a moment. But the Sun, of course, represents how can we really truly embrace our creativity, and our divine attachment to imagination, and how can we birth our creative projects out into the world. Okay, so that's going to be our goal. The card that's going to represent us is the Knave of Wands, and the Knave in the Venetian Tarot here is another deck known as the Pages. And this is the student card. This is the beginning of the journey card. This is the lowest hierarchy in the court card system, and he's just setting out on his journey and is all about learning and experiencing things and discovering things. Okay, so that's going to represent us. All right, so how can we learn to embrace our creativity and creative power? So I'm going to do a quick 2-card draw here so that we can very quickly, I just love this deck. It just has such beautiful gilded edges, beautiful glossy finish, beautiful colors, etc., and really nice backs. So how can we, as students of creativity, students of that fire energy, what can we do to really embrace our creativity and our creative power for the benefit of ourselves as well as the benefit of the earth? Okay? All right. So first card, we have the Moon pulled in reverse. Okay? And I'm going to, of course, put all of these down in a moment. And we have the 8 of Cups as well. Okay? And I'm going to have all of this pulled here in a moment. So, in the Moon reversed, we have this beautiful card here depicting what looks like in this card 2 wolves, and the traditional Rider-Waite card often will have a dog and a wolf. And the symbolism of this is kind of talking about the subconscious and the wild part of yourself being in opposition of the more civilized part of yourself. And because of that, the Moon is often associated with fear. It's about fear of the truth, the deep, dark truth of yourself coming out. And especially when I see this card in reverse, I definitely think of the fear, the subconscious fears that are kind of drummed up by the idea of you being creative, and especially if you're trying to be creative and put your things out into the world. It's interesting that we're talking about the Sun here, and we actually pulled the Moon in reverse as a method for how we can reach the Sun. And just as much the Sun is all about pulling things out of the shadows in the full light of day, the Moon is the opposite. It's about a very internal, hidden, shadowy journey. And when we also see the 8 of Cups here, we have a little guy here who's rowing away from the cup, and he is in the act of leaving. So in a very, very short summarization here, we have what we need to do in order to embrace our creativity is we need to leave fear behind. That is probably the most surface level message that I'm getting here. And that the Eight of Cups energy to me is all about leaving behind what is no longer serving you. And when we are, in society and our social relationships are very important, our standing in society is very important. And at one point in time, it may have served us to do what everyone expects of us, to be just like everyone else. And, when I see this Eight of Cups here, comes a time, especially with maturity, with enlightenment, with really truly letting our spirit express itself. Being mundane and being just like everyone else and being a conformist no longer serves you. There could be a time in your past where maybe it kept you safe. You needed to have your social acceptance, but there comes a time where it no longer serves you and we need to move on. And the way we do that and become more creative is we have to surrender that fear of what other people will think. And we have to be okay with letting out some of our shadows. Oftentimes creativity is so much about letting some shadowy parts of ourselves come out. Like, for example, there are some amazing pieces of art that wouldn't be nearly as amazing if the artist didn't let out some of their pain that they had kind of bottled away. Something that is socially unacceptable, such as, sexual trauma or trauma with war or just anger at the world. Letting some of that out into their art actually is what makes the art so amazing. And this is what I see here, is that we need to let some of that subconscious pain, some of the shadow out, and we need to also move away from the fear. And this is how we can embrace our creative spirit and our creative power, and to be better and more powerful entities on this planet. Okay, so that is all for our new moon in Leo vlog. And I also wanted to add as well, I have a special gift for you. As an extra incentive to tap into your creativity, this new moon in Leo, I've also included a free meditation called the Wild and Boundless Creativity meditation that you can definitely get on my website, www.newworldtarot.org. That is just a deep, relaxing dive into reacquainting you with attaching to your creativity. Okay, so definitely take that and have fun with that, and hopefully that helps you with repeated listens just to become the creative force that you are if you aren't already. Okay, or you can become more creative if you're already creative. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your summer, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.